spent a good like sort of 6 weeks in Ibiza in the last full season before last year. And I just remember, like, so many of my friends were coming in and out of the island, and, I was getting to see so many of them, and it was great in one sense, but you could just see how tired everyone was. And it was like, okay, like, is this going to get to a point where, is this going to become, like, unsustainable, where the pressure of, like, constant gigging, constant touring, being in, like, 3 continents in 1 week, like, how long can you keep that up for before you inevitably kind of burn out? You know what I mean?
It's a good question, and I honestly think if it wasn't for 2020 and COVID, I don't know how long I would have been on that wheel before recognizing that. Because I have definitely realized now that it is unsustainable the way I was living, and I'm probably not going to tour the way I used to again because it was an unhealthy way of life, to be quite honest.
A lot of artists are saying the same thing, that it's given them time to kind of reflect and make them realize just like how out of balance they were. And I mean, obviously, like, I'm not anywhere near as like regular touring as you are or some of the guests we have on the podcast, but I've done my fair share over the years, and I recognized it like off the back of working with Sasha on his last album, Scene Delete. Great to see that he's got a new album coming out shortly. I mean, I just had a massive uplift in touring, and I just burnt out. I just completely burnt out from it, and it was like having to do daft things, like having to fly all the way to Bali from LA to play 1 gig to turn around and fly all the way back. Just because of the way that it all kind of worked out, and just really, really brutal. So, I made the decision that if I was going to continue touring, which I'm kind of on the fence about now, to be honest, like, I'm kind of quite happy doing what I'm doing. As I say, I mentioned that Australia tour. I did a couple of gigs in Bali beforehand, and I made sure I had I was away for like 6 weeks, but I played like 6 gigs in that time, so I had plenty of time to adjust, plenty of time to decompress, plenty of time to kind of get to know a place, because I'm sure that's frustrating for yourself, like getting to a place that you wouldn't mind exploring and you can't go and see it because it's just like hotel room, airport, club. You know what I mean?
Almost one of the biggest regrets of my touring life was not actually seeing any of these places. And don't get me wrong, I did spend a bit of time in some of them. Like, I got to travel to Ethiopia a couple of years ago.
Wow.
So I spent a week there, quite unusual places. Same in Guatemala, spent a few days there. But places like Medellin in Colombia, I was there for less than 12 hours, which I would love to go back and explore a little bit more. So one of the craziest routes I ever did, I don't know how I did this looking back because it's so intense, but I did Paradise DC-10 on the Wednesday in Ibiza. Flew from there. I didn't sleep, by the way. Stayed up all night, went straight to the airport, flew to Medellin the next day, played there on Thursday, then flew to Quito in Ecuador on Friday, and I played for 8 hours that night. And then a couple of hours sleep there. Then flew to Guayaquil. So you fly to Guayaquil, then you drive 4 hours from Guayaquil to Montanita, where the Lost Beach Club is,
right,
which is one of the best clubs in the world. So it was a great final destination, but by the 4th gig, and then playing again for nearly 10 hours that night at the Lost Beach, because the promoter basically says you play for 3 hours on the main dance floor, and then you go into this cave, and he has these big doors, big soundproof doors, shuts everybody in, and he says you can play for as long as you want, just gives you free reign. So you can easily get quite lost in that room, and when you're sleep deprived and partying, and it gets wild, mate. And but the day after that, I was just completely dead. The Sunday, after traveling halfway around the world and not sleeping, it's a weird feeling.
No, it definitely is. It definitely is. I mean, I felt exactly the same way after that whole sort of Bali run, because I just I just completely collapsed after that point, and I'd been just burning it just so hard for so long, and it was just so like we said, it comes to a point where I couldn't even. Like, I literally left LA for a while. I came back here and, like, basically, stayed with my mum and dad for a couple of weeks, because it was just like, I need to get my head together. Like, I need to kind of get a bit of space and be able to kind of totally reset. So, I mean, I literally, I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's not a patch on what I went through. And, as in, what I went through was not a patch on what you went through. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to. I mean, I'm wondering how you're still breathing now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good that you can recognise that burnout before it really hit you hard, though. You took some time out to decompress was the key word that you said, I think. That is so essential. Because, like for me, I'd never really got into music to DJ and to being, well, maybe that's not quite right, but to be in clubs. I never got into it to be a touring DJ and to be on stage and stuff. Got into it just because I liked making tunes. And I liked mixing tunes in my bedroom. And then one thing led to another. And then you find yourself doing these mad schedules. So it is so essential for people who've spent most of their careers on their own in a studio or in the bedroom making music to take that time to decompress. Because I'm not the most extroverted guy in the world. I need that time to process everything,
Yeah, you're quite an introspective guy, like, and quite, as you say, you're quite quiet. So I appreciate you coming on the show in general, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. No, I don't mind talking to people, like, what I mean.
You're not that introverted.
I'm not, like,